Hello, everybody. It's Marie again for this week's episode of Just Like That. And Just Like That, Season 2, Episode 8, 100 years ago. And yes, if you love revisionist history, this episode is for you. This is kind of an annoying, well, I don't know. It's good, it can be really good, and it can also be really bad. We have really good storylines with Carrie and Seema this week. Anthony gets more of a love interest, but we don't even see Naya this episode, and Charlotte has maybe one of the worst storylines I've seen on this rotten show. So why don't we begin? The whole show opens up in a hotel room with Aiden and Carrie, and it's some of the clunkiest dialogue I have ever heard. It's all 100% exposition to let you know that, Valentine's Day was about a month ago, that whose turn is it to shut the shades in this hotel room? I did it yesterday, and you did it the day before that, then I did it this day. And he's like, well, I'm just a vampire, I suppose. And then Carrie's like, oh, are you a Virginia vampire? So that we remind the audience they're staying in a hotel room. They've been there in bed for a few days, and Hayden still does live in Virginia. So now she's going to have they want to order food. She'll have another $26 omelet. Then he's talking about chickens on his farm, and would Carrie ever come visit him on his farm in Virginia? And of course she would. She's excited to meet his boys, his three sons. And it's this kind of nice little sexy, they're in the bed sheets and they don't want to get out of bed sort of scene, but the dialogue is just really dumb as hell. Then the very next thing Carrie does after she decides she's going to go visit Aiden at his farm is to make sure that his farm isn't gross. So apparently he has a classic red farmhouse, one of those old farmhouses in Norfolk, Virginia. And so Carrie looks up and only sees big, beautiful kind of mansions, so she won't be grossed out by the way Aiden lives any longer. So stupid. Why? All right. Then, of course, they're in this big, giant restaurant. Looks like all the other restaurants they've been eating in this season, unnamed, with a lot of beautiful flowers. And it's the three main girls plus Seema, and Carrie's just going on and on about Aiden, and she wants to go visit this wonderful farmhouse, and she's telling them, by the way, she's got that Aiden has three sons, ages 20, 17, and 14. Okay, which would make Aiden's oldest son, Tate, just as a reminder, Tate was, the very first baby, and that episode was in 2003. We get introduced to Tate. He's already like a couple months old in this scene, I imagine. But he's older than Brady. Now, if you guys recall, there's a scene that resonates with me that I always remember from the Sex and the City was Carrie and Miranda shopping for shoes because Miranda was too pregnant to wear heels anymore, but Carrie was very upset. Aiden and she just broke up. Aiden was selling her back her apartment. She didn't have means to buy the apartment. There was the scene where Carrie's like, I will literally be the woman who lived in her own shoes, or because all of the money that she spent on shoes could have paid for a deposit on the apartment. So basically, within days of Aiden breaking up with Carrie, Miranda is about to pop. That's how pregnant she is. And yet now, because after the movies, after the franchises with And Just Like That, they decided intentionally to make all of the kids several years younger. Because realistically, Brady would be in college. He'd be done through college. Same with Lily. Rock would be kind of closer to 17, 18 years old. These kids in real life would be much older. Tate would probably be in real life 20, but they decided to make Brady 18, and he's just decided he's not going to college. He graduated high school last year. So this is just really, really dumb. And apparently, we're going to find out next week that there's a possibility that Brady and Lily are hooking up, because I guess what they figured in this show, we want to see a lot of teenagers having a lot of sex. So once again, we're at this table and they're talking about these sons of Aiden, and Charlotte is just really bugging me in this scene. Why they have to have her in Colonel Sanders' bows, why there always needs to be a bow under her chin anymore, just drives me crazy. But in every scene, her eyes are so big, and oh, you and Aiden are in love. That's great, Carrie. It's just such overacting. Seema looks pretty annoyed by it, but then she's like, I don't care about chickens and farmhouses. What are you kidding me, girl? And Carrie's like, no, no, no. I looked up these farmhouses. It's like Howard's End. And I haven't seen that movie or read that book, and I really should, I guess. But she's like, oh no, they look like they're English houses, and Seema points out, yeah, because you're looking up pictures of Norfolk, England, and you're looking at pictures of houses in the UK with the same city name, not actual Virginia. So that's we'll only see what Aiden's house looks like next season, but or next episode, I'm sure. There's already hints of it. Carrie and Miranda, in the most aggravating scene that they've written, I think, in a while. They're walking from lunch. Carrie is dressed, she's in a bathrobe, in somebody's robe. I don't understand this coat, but okay. They're in public looking like this, and Miranda is concerned. She's all nervous about her new internship at the Human Rights Watch. Okay, that she's gonna be the low man on the totem pole, paying her dues, starting all over. And then she brings up to Carrie, let's talk about Aiden. And Carrie's like, oh, I haven't been talking about Aiden enough. I spent the entire lunch talking about Aiden. And Miranda, very helpful Miranda, says, maybe you're just moving too fast. Miranda, the chick who, like a total sociopath, dumped her entire family for them, Che, for somebody she had zero in common with, zero history with. This person is going to tell Carrie not to go too fast. Yeah, okay, we're going to listen to you, Miranda. Queen of advice. But then Carrie's like, no, Aiden and I aren't the past. We are very much the present. And she's like, I've had the most amazing orgasms all week long, like that I've ever had with anybody, including Big and Aiden and everybody in my life, like the best sex ever. And then she stops and she's like, I don't even want to say it. And Miranda's like, no, 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 go ahead, say it. And Carrie's like, was Big a big mistake? Girl, are you kidding me? Now, I do make an effort on on these reviews not to swear. But I can't tell you how much I told Carrie to F off when I heard her say that. Are we kidding? Like, what have we been doing this entire series? And this first bullshit year of her constantly grieving and talking about Big, my husband died, big, big, big. And her, like, cheating on Aiden with Big and always needing Big and pursuing Big and caring about Big. And to the point that even when Big wasn't a factor and Aiden proposes to her, she literally gets a rash and hyperventilates over the possibility of being married to Aiden. And are you kidding me? What if it was all a big oopsie poopsie mistake? Girl, I mean, don't make me go into the screen and slap a bitch. This is the dumbest thing anybody could have said. I don't know how dare they write that line? That was just so stupid. This revisionist history look, I like Aiden. I always thought Aiden was very, very sweet. He's a sweet, nice guy. He's a great guy. I have no problem with Aiden. My problem with Aiden, besides he might be a little boring, is that He's a nice guy. She's not. She's a selfish jerk. She's a selfish, jerky New Yorker, and Big was a selfish, jerky New Yorker. They deserved each other. Aiden is this kind-hearted farm boy. He's a country boy. I mean, he drives the pickup truck and has the bird hunting dog and, has these cabins and farmhouses and plays with chickens now, apparently. They're not compatible. It's great to be with Aiden for a while, but this idea that Big was this big mistake, and because she gets a few orgasms from an old boyfriend, and I can't even imagine going through that and going through all that mourning and writing books about your beloved departed, and then she still, I think, on a book tour, right, selling this book about Big, and now saying this, like, shut all the way up, just F all the way off. I was so pissed off at the writers for doing that. Okay, so now we have Charlotte in her dumb little Colonel Sanders bow talking to her ungrateful little brats, her entitled little brats are rolling their eyes. Mom wants to speak. Well, Charlotte wants to go. She's going to decide to go back and work at that art gallery, and she's not going to be home anymore to take care of them like they used to, and she might not even be home for dinner sometimes. And these kids couldn't be happier. They're like, go, be free. We know what this means. It means you're not going to be around, and they can't control their smiles. These completely ungrateful little brats. I hope that next week we see them just really upset and, having some appreciation for their freaking mother who does everything for them. Just really hated seeing these little girls on this couch. All right, next we have Miranda starting her internship. And this is one of those things that they actually, I think, got right on this show. Miranda, reminder, accomplished attorney, 30 plus years in corporate law. She's been a partner at multiple firms. She was top of her class in Harvard Law. Miranda was very successful, decided in her 50s to give this up and to go back to college. Columbia, not any college, not, community college. She went to Columbia to get some other degree, I assume in human rights. I don't know. They've never been very clear on what she's pursuing. I would assume some sort of master of some sort of graduate in human rights or something. But she, starting in as an intern, and she's faced with a couple of 20-year-olds, and she's acting as if she's the same kind of intern as they are, that she's just here to pay their dues, and they're like, hey, nice to meet you. Don't worry, it's going to be a while till boss lady gets you to do anything real. We're just doing citations. And, we hope someday to be able to do notes. Like, after this girl's been here for 6 whole months, she was able to take some notes, which, it's really, I don't know about that. That seems pretty ridiculous. That you'd wait so long to take notes. And frankly, with all the dictation services and mechanics we have now, to take notes seems like a pretty, something anybody could do with like a press of a button now if they have a phone working. It seems like a weird thing, an old-timey kind of a job that no one will do in 5 years, taking notes. But okay, let's roll with it. But the thing is that is very true. What I run into is, again, I'm a resume writer. I'm like the most award-winning resume writer of all time, and I deal primarily with top executives. And I feel like people like Miranda, when it comes to the highly successful, highly educated, tend to be the new normal anymore. And they go into their 50s. Now, when I was a kid, these people would have just retired early. They would have retired at like 55, and they'd still be retired now. But, people realize their lives are longer. Retirement is, can be really boring. And so what people like this do now is they go into these, postgraduate degrees. They learn something new. They augment their existing education, their existing experience with something that's just sort of adjacent to it, to make it bigger and firmer. But then they go back into like these internships through these colleges thinking that they're going to start from day one, and they don't, and it's stupid. And even like young interns, like where I kind of find this silly that these college girls wouldn't understand that, her internship is not, an entry level, let's get started. Her internship is a formality. It's just a way that this company can, or this organization can get their hands on somebody that qualified first and get the college credit and do all that stuff. All internships are not created equal, but they're treating it like it is here. Boss lady comes in, immediately talks to Miranda, and asks Miranda to take notes. And the 20-somethings are all shocked, like, oh, you get to take the notes? Really kind of weird there. Now we get back to Che, because we can't have an episode without Che. So Carrie comes in to visit Che and to invite them out to lunch. And I don't know what the name of this person is, the other vet, or the vet. I don't know if she's a vet or a vet assistant or this other person in Che's veterinarian office, but so boring, so annoying, these dumb banter jokes. It's just like they're inserting another character to take up space, and this person seems to serve no purpose. It just makes the scene longer. It's just really dumb. But the punchline here to this scene is Carrie is inviting Che, is asking to rent Che's apartment. The hotels that she's renting for Aiden are too expensive, apparently, because now Carrie cares about money. I guess she's gotten cheap all of a sudden. Last season, she was just buying incredibly pricey homes and selling them to impress Seema, but now hotel fees are a little high. So she wants to rent Che's apartment and let Che right now is, I guess, staying at their grandmother's house and renting out their apartment like Airbnb, as an Airbnb. And because they're in Hudson Yards, all of their neighbors are getting annoyed. They're starting to pick up on the Airbnb of it all. And it'd be kind of better to have Aiden and Carrie just stay there and just have it and rent it out, I guess, month after month. And then meanwhile, any week or whatever, I guess, Aiden sort of has this co-parenting thing where like every other week he's coming into New York. And he's flying. They said there's 4 flights out of JFK a day that go directly to Norfolk. They've talked about it's an hour and a half commute between New York City and Norfolk. But even if you're not talking about Titosboro, which is like the private the private jet the private airport coming out of New Jersey. If they're talking about JFK, yeah, that's not an hour and a half commute, because you're going to spend a lot of time getting through airport security and all that other nonsense that you got to do at an airport. But okay, they're going to go back and forth. Every week that Aiden doesn't have the kids, he's going to come to New York and stay with Carrie. And they're going to make this work. And Che is all about it, because whenever they are going to be using Che's apartment, Che gets to use Carrie's apartment. Yay. So Che's like, yes, I don't have to be with grandma all the time anymore. Absolutely. And of course, we have a lot more banter with this person with the glasses and who could possibly care. Okay, then we get to Hot Fellas. Hot Fellas, apparently Anthony, since hasn't hired anybody else except Giuseppe, who is there working as his single hot guy, just the one guy, and he's overworked, and he's been there a month. By the way, I'm also kind of annoyed that last month was Valentine's Day. They keep establishing that they've been here a month, and we don't have a St. Patty's Day episode with these girls. Why can't I see these girls, like, throw up some Irish car bombs or whatever, and get the green dresses out and, party at amateur hour? Like, why can't we see a St. Patty's Day episode? I don't know. I think it'd be a big waste of a St. Patty's Day episode for sure. But I don't know. If you're going to do months, let's go do all the holidays. But Giuseppe has been there a month as the only employee, and he's showing Anthony's pounding the dough too hard, so he's showing him how to knead it. So they have this ghost moment, and during this ghost, romantic moment, this kid says Giuseppe lets Mario know that he's gay. It's part of their conversation, talking about one of his clients that keep bothering him. And Anthony, upon this guy saying I'm gay, Anthony immediately fires him. And the guy's like, you firing me because I'm gay? And he's like, no, I'm firing you because you were 2 minutes late yesterday, you were a minute early this morning, and I need more reliability than that. And he's like, it sounds like you're firing me because I'm gay. And he's like, I should get an attorney, but doesn't seem very serious about it. I mean, Anthony, this is 2023. We can't like fire people because you're attracted to them. Like that's so not okay. Giuseppe tells him to take a chill pill and like leaves. I don't know. I mean, how can Anthony has the worst business model ever. Apparently, all of his other we're basically supposed to believe that all these other guys he's hired for hot fellas, they were all straight, or he was not attracted to them and he never banged any of them, and that's not why he kind of found all of them on Grindr. Okay, sure, Anthony's very, very ethical, and he only gets these like really hot beefy guys, and they're only ever straight, and he doesn't, whatever. It's just so silly. Come on. Is anybody believing that story? Anybody believing that Anthony was like always professional around the hot fellas? Okay, so next we see a shopping scene. Charlotte is dressed frumpadump Burberry, and Lisa LTW is dressed like some sort of knit superhero with I did this. I'm not into the fanny pack thing. I just can't. And then the yellow cape and the purple. It was a little too much for me, this outfit. I couldn't take it. But Charlotte's looking for the perfect gallerina or gallerist. I always thought of the gallerist. Now she's calling it a gallerina because you got to be teeny tiny like a ballerina. She wants to look like she did in the 90s. She wants like that little black dress and make her look smart. Meanwhile, she is, gallery people. They all dress in black, or they dress real smart. You can dress any way you want to as a gallery. You just have to have an annoyed look. You have to look smarter than everybody else. Glasses are always good. Just get your old glasses back. Wear anything black. You're good to go, Charlotte. And if you want to be artsy gallerist, you can do something futuristic, and that always gains respect too. But just a black dress, okay. It's going with LTW, and she finds this little pink dress, or this dress with a little pink belt and little pink cuffs and stuff, and it's really girly and silly, and it's a little too Pollyanna, I think, for a gallerist thing, but okay. She apparently has too many inches in her waist to wear this dress. There's the dress. We'll see it later. But she has her belly is just a little too big. She has like a 2-inch, not even a 2-inch belly. She has a tiny little belly, and it's driving her crazy, and it makes the little belt ride up. And they're like, oh, you just take the belt off. No, I'm not. The belt makes the whole thing. Yeah, it's so stupid. Why would you even wear this? But okay. So the store girl is like very helpful. She's like, okay, well, if you're worried about your weight, how about these black? And yeah, these are black and stupid. And this one has a big stupid bow by her face because you apparently like that. And Charlotte's like, take those moo-moos away. And she's all, pulled to the sales girl. And LTW tells the sales girl, your big crime is being 25. Yay. So Charlotte has the dress. Charlotte takes the dress home. She sits in her closet and she pulls out pictures of all 4 of the girls. And it just makes you remember how much this show sucks without Samantha and how much we all miss Samantha. But she then, puts an old picture of herself from the 90s on this dress and, continues to just starve herself on bone broth all week just to be able to fit in this dress and look like she did in the 1990s. Then we go back to Brad and Janet, or AKA Aiden and Carrie. Aiden calls them Brad and Janet to Che's nosy neighbor to make sure that they know that, oh, we're Che's cousin. And they go into Che's apartment, and Che doesn't own anything. Che has no spoons or good spoons and has no pepper grinder. Apparently you need a pepper grinder. Che has like 5 hangers in their closet, and they're all wire hangers. So they immediately decide to go out shopping and get stuff that they're going to need to live in this place. And they go in, and in the writer's room, they call this like a whole honeymoon scene, and it is. They are obviously in love and just having a great time shopping for housewares, and they're just glowing and giddy and cute, and it looks like a lot of fun. Um, and then we go back to Seema. We go into Seema. We see Seema at work. And she has one of the head guys is like this gay guy with this awesome uh, feather, I don't know, like a feather pin in his jacket. I love that. And then he's introducing her to a client that she doesn't want, begging her to take this client, but he's saying you got to take him because he's straight and he's cute and he's just your type, but he needs like a 9-month apartment. He's like a director or a producer at Marvel, and he's looking for the best place to stay to film his movie. And he's supposedly really cute. He kind of looks like a twinkish Chris Noth type, like big, got younger and lost some weight or something a little bit. But yeah, so Seema has a new client that she's got the hots for, and they're already starting to flirt with. And then we go back to Miranda at the Human Rights Watch, and it's interesting because they decided to go in and look at these offices and then recreate the offices exactly as what they said in the writer's room. Seems like a giant waste of time because nobody knows what those offices really look like anyway, so as long as you have their permission to use their logo and print some signs that say Human Rights Watch, you should be able to pull that off anyway. But apparently they went to great lengths to get a real sense of what these offices look like. And again, now these girls are all kind of mean girling Miranda at lunch. They're all texting about her in front of her and not talking to her because, the boss lady is so impressed with Miranda's notes taking that she wants to, she's giving her more responsibility and just thinks everything is incredible. And again, singling out Miranda and elevating her and ticking off these youngins. We're back in Charlotte's closet. She's looking at that picture of her in the 90s, talking to Harry about the bone broth she's had to eat all week and just to try to look exactly like this girl. I mean, this is the entire plot line of Charlotte, is whether or not to wear Spanx or take the belt on or off. That is all, and it goes on and on, over and over with Charlotte and this stupid freaking belt, and it's her entire storyline. It's so aggravating. It's like Charlotte King. I mean, people aren't this shallow this day and age, really. I mean, you're in your 50s. Okay, all right. We'll get back to Charlotte and her obsessing. Right now, we have to be just treated to a terrible scene of Che staying at Carrie's place. Now, Michael Patrick King was just so delighted about this. Like, oh my God, we get to see Che alone in Carrie's room, and the hilariousness, and the entire writer's room is like, oh my God, it's going to be so funny. No, it's exactly what you think it is. It's freaking Che, okay? It's one, it's not going to be funny if Che's doing it. But two, Che doesn't really care that much about Carrie's closet. If it were any other girl, if it was like Charlotte would absolutely try on these things, test them out. Che puts a bunch of, I guess, facial stuff underneath their eyes, like a football player. Smells a little bit of perfume that goes blech at it. Puts the perfume down, walks into the closet, picks up a big platform shoe, looks at it. That's all Che's gonna do. That's exactly what you would expect Che to do. Anybody playing that scene would probably do those same sequences. Because what is Che? Is Che gonna like try on these outfits and feel all girly? I don't see Che doing that. Che's gonna be like, Che is like the one friend she has, honestly. She could probably trust in that closet of wonders, like, oh, Che doesn't give a crap about this. Che's only ever gonna wear ironic t-shirts and hoodies and crap and not gonna bother your shit at all. That's great. Che is perfect for this, but also boring, and I'm tired of Che. Why do we need Che? But Che gets a call because the neighbors are worried about this Airbnb and who's this Brad and Janet and whatever person that they got in there, their cousins. So Che has to go in, check in, and gets to meet Aiden. And again, Carrie and Aiden are just glowing, and they're bantering, and they're super cute. And Che's all thrilled that they bought Che a bunch of stuff, including an espresso coffee maker and all these things for Che's apartment that Che gets to keep as a gift. And everybody's like giddy and happy. And so Che goes, why do you guys break up? And It's a dumb question. It's a rude question. Nobody would ask this question. Like, why didn't this work out with you guys the first time? Is what Shay asked. And it wasn't like kind of within the realm of a conversation that kind of was leaning that way. It was awkwardly stated. It was awkwardly put. Michael Patrick King said this is one of the reasons he needed Che in here because only Che could ask this question and get away with it. And it's stupid. No, they can't. It just makes them look like a bigger asshole. Nobody, you wouldn't ask something like that. And it's like, oh, everybody would know the history. Everybody would know not to. No, most people would assume if somebody broke up before the first time, you would ask, if you were that curious, you would ask Carrie privately. You wouldn't ask in front of both of them at the same time like a total social moron. But Che asked what happened the first time. Why didn't it work out? Carrie is all, because I made a mistake. And then they like hug and embrace like it's like this big meaningful moment. And again, revisionist history. Carrie, you were never going to go with Aiden. It just, not if Big was in the picture. If you had the choice between two of them, and Big was in a flaming building, and Che was in, Aiden was in a yacht, you would have gone into the burning building for Big. That is how this whole series has always been written. Stop with this nonsense revisionist BS. Nobody believes it. So now we have Anthony is talking to Charlotte. He's all stressed. He's got to fire this kid, which apparently he does over text. He fires Giuseppe over text. I guess that's how people are firing their employees now. And again, Charlotte's on the phone obsessing about how tiny and skinny she's going to have to be for her first day of work. Now we have Carrie is at a hair salon. She's getting her hair washed. And she's in this next little stall next to Seema. And Seema gets up and she is just really upset. Or she doesn't want to talk to Carrie. She's been avoiding Carrie. Carrie's been texting her about, would you like to have dinner with, Aiden and I? We'd love to have you. She's like, well, send me some dates or whatever. Send me some times you want to do it. And then Carrie does. And Seema's been avoiding Carrie. So now she sees that they're right next to each other. And I want to say, even though they're in a different salon, my first thought was Seema's not in her usual salon. Well, when Seema gets up, she does say, oh, Juan Jose doesn't like to be kept waiting. So Juan Jose is her hairdresser that she loves so much. So maybe he's at a different salon. But I'm going to give him a little credit sometimes because they don't have much continuity success in this show. Sometimes just to know that, okay, we didn't have Seema in a totally different hairdresser now for no reason. Okay. But she tells Carrie, if we're going to have this conversation, I need a cigarette. So they're outside in the rain, hair wet. And I will say this. Scenes like this are why I love Sex in the City. This was an excellent scene. I thought it was acted well. I thought the actress who plays Seema did a really good job. And it was just a very truthful, very honest, one of those unfortunate scenes that happens in life. And Seema's like, look, I'm happy for you, and I don't want to sound petty or pathetic, but you've had these two great loves. And I've never had one, and please don't tell me I'm going to have one. I might never have a great love, and I'm okay with that. But I don't want to, she's like, this whole summer we were going to spend in this Hamptons place that we got together, and I'm not spending it being a third wheel. She goes, I don't want to. She goes, you and Aiden can be happy, that's great, but I didn't spend this money. I'm not spending my summer watching the two of you hopelessly in love while I'm trying to just enjoy my summer and not have my singledom kind of rubbed in my face. And they're both being very respectful, and Carrie's like, I don't care, and Seema, they call her Simba on the Mike Harlow show, so that's a slip on that. But Seema basically, said, I put back the deposit on that apartment. We're not going to do the Hamptons thing together. And Carrie was just like, oh, you did that without telling me at all? And she's like, well, she's like, I don't care about the apartment. I care about losing you as a friend. And you really get a sense, and they talk about this in the writer's room, that this is their way of them being able to have Samantha there without having Samantha there. And you do get a sense that Carrie is really afraid of losing Seema's friendship the way that she lost Samantha's friendship. But it is kind of a touching, very honest moment. And she's like, even when you invited me to dinner, you and Aiden are already a we. We would love to have you. And she's like, I don't know if I want to go to the dinner. And Carrie's like, please, I'm so sorry. If there's anything I can do. And she's like, give me space. And Carrie's like, I don't really want to give you any space. Space just leads to more space. And then, I won't have my friendship with you anymore. And, Seema's like, dude, we're fine. It's chill. It's fine. I just need a little space. And so the scene ends there, and it is. It's kind of one of those ones that I will applaud the series. That's the kind of scene that you need to see more of. Then we have Charlotte. Charlotte's about to go to work, and she has double Spanx on. It's her day. She says goodbye to her daughters. The daughters are concerned. It sounds like she's out of breath, or she thinks they have a sore throat or something. What is going on? She's acting like a freak over two Spanx. And honestly, I don't know that the Spanx are doing much. I don't think this is a great advertisement for Spanx. She looks exactly the same with the Spanx without the Spanx. I don't know. I mean, she looks good either way. She looks perfectly fine either way. But, you have to focus on this stupid dress. And now Anthony, Giuseppe shows up for work anyway. Anthony says, what are you doing here? I already texted you. And Anthony basically says, look, you're this, I can't hold that line, I'm sorry, and I don't want to be a male Miss Lorraine or whatever, but, you're cute, you're Italian, you're gay, with a big, big heart, trying to avoid saying big, thing. I can't hold that line. I'm sorry, I can't. And he's like, well, that's okay. I don't work for you anyway. And then he starts making out. So now Anthony has a new love interest who's like way too young for him. And he didn't know he was gay because an accent always throws him off. And, same girl, same. Accent always throws off my gaydar. Okay, so now finally, Charlotte gets to the gallery. Guys, this is so dumb. I can't even. She gets to the gallery, and she sees two gallerinas, and they are dressed exactly how you'd expect. They're all in black. One of these girls, there's Anastasia and Kai, and Anastasia there with the white hoof boots, all very artsy with the big shoulders. She looks like she's being played by some sort of supermodel whose name I should know. She's really gorgeous. Kai is this, tiny little cute button thing. And so you can see Charlotte's already, she took off her belt. Her belt's in her purse now. She got so nervous. She just puts the belt in her purse. But then everybody, this is so terrible. All right, so this Layla or however, the manager walks down. And she is a, heavier girl. She's a bigger lady, and she's wearing a midriff. And she's walking down the stairs like she doesn't care. She welcomes Charlotte, says she loves Charlotte's Web, loves people named Charlotte. And so Charlotte's like, is there a place I can just put my coat? And he's like, oh, there's a restroom upstairs, and, you can get ready up there. So Charlotte goes up to the bathroom. She's like, she takes off her Spanx. She throws out her Spanx and then retrieves one of the Spanx. And she puts the belt on, and she's like all confident and happy now. She feels great. And okay, so the first time I see this scene, my instinct was, oh my God, she saw a fat chick and said, oh, thank God, I'm not the fattest one here. I can just be myself. I can let it all hang out because there's someone fatter than me. And if somebody's talking about a fatso at this gallery, they're not going to be talking about me. They're going to be talking about Layla. It just came off as such a ridiculous move. And later, and I read the writer's room, and there's some people like, no, this is about how the body types and the body positivity is now versus what it was in the 90s, and how these wonderful Zoomers or millennials have knocked all that out, and we no longer have to be super, it's supposed to be like this sort of this beautiful, hey, thanks kids for making things better the next generation sort of minute. But when I saw it, my first instinct was, wait, really? She obsesses about her weight the entire show, about these 2 pounds and this tiny little belt. and she's wondering whether to wear the belt or not wear the belt. It's the dumbest plot line ever. It takes forever. This stupid little belt. Pardon me. And you're telling me that as soon as she sees the fat girl, it's like, yay, I'm not the fat one, and then I can be free, I can be me. That's the message that it sort of carried across. And I saw a lot of online debate about this on Twitter, but yeah, that seems to be like how this came across. Not really the best way to do this, I don't think. So then we see Miranda back at her job with the teenagers and or the 20-year-olds, and she found some mistakes in their notes. And one of the girls like, oh, well, perfect Miranda. Miranda's like, I'm not perfect. I'm a sexually confused 50-something-year-old woman who's going through a divorce, or alcoholic. I'm a sexually confused alcoholic in the midst of a divorce. And that kind of shut the girls up, and then they leave. And then the boss lady comes to Miranda and says, hey, I want you to take over for me while I have this kid, while I'm going on maternity leave. I need you to take my spot. And Miranda's like, oh, these girls, they've been working here 4 to 6 months. It's not fair to them. And this chick's like, are you kidding me? They're just out of college. They're kids. They don't know what they're doing. You have 30 years of experience. You have, sir, surely you didn't care about if everybody was the head of their class at Harvard, and you didn't care about people who weren't made partner at the law firms you work for, like, get a grip. You are not the same. And it's absolutely true. Absolutely. So, yeah. So last scene we have, well, second to last scene we have is they're having dinner. Aiden's with the girls, and then Seema walks in, and they're like, oh, we weren't expecting Seema to come in, and Aiden gets her a chair, and Seema's like, I love you already. And it does it's very reminiscent, and they meant it to be, of that scene where in Sex and the City, where Carrie's waiting for Big to show up at the dinner, and then Big decides to blow it off instead of meeting her friends. And then he comes in at the last minute, and Charlotte's like, oh my God, there he is. And that's basically what Charlotte did here. Oh my God, there she is. And so Seema comes down, they give each other like loving looks, and it's a sweet little moment. At the very end, we have Carrie taking her book of Howard's End and grabbing her suitcase, supposedly going to the farmhouse. And she's like, and just like that, I went to Aiden's farm. And it was wonderful because it was real. So, again, let's remind everybody that their love was so amazing. Their love was so incredible that when Aiden broke up with her, the last scene we see of Aiden with Carrie is when he's fixing her toilet and talking about ball cock or whatever, and then he goes and he leaves her the paperwork for the house, right? Or for the apartment. Well, that was shot in I think something like February 2002. And then in June 2003, Carrie runs into him. I know it's like the end of season 4 to the beginning of season 6, but they had a very quick, short-lived season in between. They were like pregnant and all that stuff. There wasn't season 5 was practically a non-season. They got rid of all the men. Both Sarah Jessica Parker and Cynthia Nixon were in different levels of pregnancy. It was a very brief season. And so this only took place a year and a half. So their love was so strong that Aiden, as they talk about in Sex and the City, went through some sort of extended grieving process. And then he dated that face girl. Oh, I dated Aiden just after you did, and she made the face at Carrie. And then married this interior designer, who I guess is now a textile designer, Kathy, and had time to give birth and, raise this kid, because this wasn't a brand new, freshly, pooped out baby. This kid has a couple months on him for sure. And all this time, that was a year and a half, guys. He was so into it. So and it's very possible that he got married to Kathy after they had Tate or after she was pregnant. It's probably very much likely a shotgun wedding. But we do have scenes of they have the preview of next week's episode. Carrie is going to have lunch with his ex-wife. And we know, if you watch the movie, the Sex and the City movie, the second one, where they meet up in Abu Dhabi, that Aiden's always like, oh, my wife's always always kept an eye out on you. She always thought you were the one. So I wonder if like Kathy has a lot to say to Carrie, if she is aware that they kissed in Abu Dhabi. I don't know why anybody would have lunch with their new love's ex. I see this happen. I'm a fan of 90 Day Fiance, so I get this as a concept that they throw in reality shows quite a bit. I've never been compelled to do such a thing, but I think we're going to see that. It looks like, yeah, Seema's going to get more involved with Ravi, her hot new client. And it looks like, I think the big story is that the kids, Brady and Lily, are going to hook up, and also previews of Miranda and Charlotte wearing perhaps the dumbest clothing they've ever had in their lives. So I'm hoping next week we get to see Aiden and Carrie dressed like idiots again, because yeah, they had some idiotic outfits for Carrie this season or this episode. I think they're going to be dressed like stupid, but I would like to see the farmhouse. What I'd really like to see is a house just full of furniture that Aiden made. I think that would be really cool. And if his wife is a talented interior, or his ex was a talented interior or textile designer, I think we could maybe see some great design moments coming up. But I just don't see how we're gonna make like Carrie on the farm work, no matter how sophisticated the farm is. Like there's chickens and stuff. I don't know. She's already talking about like I should get a place in Virginia and a place here, and she can just she's gonna dually it. I don't know what we have. This is episode 8. There are usually 10 episodes in a season. I've been seeing a lot of things online claiming that this season is going to have 11 episodes. So I don't know what they plan on doing. I don't know if they're just going to try to wrap it up, revise history, and make it so that everything we see is, she just ends up with Aiden at the end of the day, and then they shut the series down and stop ruining these characters. I think that would be a wonderful treat, but I don't think they're going to do that. So I guess in the meantime, we'll see what happens. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Well, there's no same bat time. I just do these whenever I can sneak away to get them done. Miranda, you can follow me on Hobbs Wig on Twitter. We're always having a lot of fun there. And again, I am the Birkin bag of resumes, writers, essentially. You'll pay thousands of dollars and you'll be on a waiting list, but you will have a fabulous, fabulous resume. So please, if you're interested in my work, you can watch the virtual consultation video I have linked in the comments. Otherwise, y'all have a great week.